Hey YouTube, it's Justin, aka Demonic Sweaters, here with a little video today about live streaming. Now, first off, I just wanted to give a big thanks to all you guys who watched my live stream last Friday, which was a live show that I put together here in the studio using my electronic drums that are behind me, as well as all this stuff I wanted to show you guys today, how I was able to do that stream. Now, if you saw the stream, it was a multi-camera live stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I had basically two cameras automatically switching scenes. I had some lights and I had, high quality audio and video. I mean, the video was decent. I wouldn't say it was insanely high quality, but it was as good as I could get considering the bandwidth I have here and what I have to work with. So I wanted to show you guys this whole setup and how I configured all this stuff to do that live stream, because I think it's pretty cool and I think you guys might enjoy this. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on this. But before we do, be sure to follow me on Spotify or Apple Music. There's some links down below, and I'm pointing at that, words on the screen there. But there's links down below where you can follow me on either Apple Music or Spotify. And I'm also available on all the streaming services, so whatever you use, you can find Demonic Sweaters on all of those, as well as my other project, which is called Manasota. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's start back here behind the drums where I was sitting. And what I'm using for a drum set is this E-Star Kids drum set that I converted to electronic. I've posted plenty of videos on this, and I'll go ahead and post some links down below so you guys can check those out if you want. But basically, this is just a cheap drum set that I converted to electronic. I have my own homemade internal triggers that I used. Snare, rack tom. Floor tom, the trigger that I built was giving me some trouble, so I threw on this red shot trigger, but I'm going to work on fixing this today. And just a couple of, I have an old Visualite dual zone ride, a Lemon 3-zone ride here being used as a dual zone crash, and then a Pintech single zone crash here, and then also a Roland PD9 as my hi-hat. Down on the floor I have Mapex double bass drum pedal and a Roland FD7 for the hi-hat controller, and the kick drum is just another homemade trigger. This one works really well, even though it's ugly, but it does work really well. On the drum set for the module, I was using a Roland TD6. Now this is really only being used to send MIDI out to my audio interface, which is over here. And this is a Behringer UMC 404 HD. Now, okay, so this is where things get a little bit interesting. And for software, I'm using Ableton Live, but the drum sounds that you guys were hearing were all coming from EZDrummer 2. So let's go ahead and open that up here so you can see. So there's EZDrummer 2, and basically this is a kit that I had programmed myself using a couple of the built-in kit sounds, as well as some add-ons that I purchased through TuneTrack, and I just kind of created this whole drum set myself. And so everything is going from my drums into EZDrummer 2, which is being hosted in Ableton. Now in Ableton, I also have a playlist of all of my set list over here, and you can see in the master section, each one of these, if we go down one by one, these are all songs that you heard in the order that you heard them. And each one of these has its own tempo and time signature set. So when I press play on one of these, it changes the tempo and click track and time signature to be appropriate for whatever song I'm playing. Now, if we go back over here, you'll notice there's a track here called backing. And this is actually a group. If I expand this, this has all the individual tracks for each instrument being played in every song. So some of them have guitar, some of them have synths, some of them have bass, some of them have all that stuff. So that's all there, and each individual track is on its own channel. So I could actually mute these or turn them up and down and kind of do a mix however I want. If I have somebody else playing with me, somebody were to play guitar or something, I could just easily mute the guitar track and then they would play guitar live. In addition to that, I also have a count-in track here, and sorry for the handheld cam, this is kind of the best I can do right now. But there's a count-in track here. Now, this is actually literally me just counting in the songs, going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know where to start for each track that I'm playing. Now, why didn't you hear that? I'm going to get to that here in a second. And it's actually not as complicated as well, kind of is complicated actually, but once you get it figured out, it's not that complicated. And then over here on the first track is the EZDrummer that I showed you already. So In addition to that, I also have a click track, which is just the default Ableton click. I just have to turn that on, and then I can hear the click. Now, my audio interface that I showed you a minute ago, this Behringer UMC 404 HD, actually is a 4-channel audio interface. It has 4 inputs, but it also has 4 outputs. Now, in order to do something like this successfully, having 4 outputs is actually quite important because if we go here and look at my outputs in Ableton, you'll notice I have master out 1 and 2, and then Q out 3 and 4. Now, what Q out is sending is going over to this little mixer I have right here. Well, actually, both Q out and master out are both going to this mixer. And I have master out 1 and 2 going into one channel, and then Q out 3 and 4 going into another channel. And then I have my headphones coming out of here. Now, in one channel, I have a click where I can turn up and down. And another one, I have the music that I can turn up and down. Now, if we look at the interface here, let's see if I can pull this out while I'm holding the camera. But if we go in here to the interface, shoot, I don't know if I can get that out. I feel like there's a cable holding it. So anyway, the interface on the back has multiple outputs. In addition to having 1, 2, 3, and 4, it has actually a couple of different outputs for each of those. So one set of the 1 and 2 are going to the mixer, and then another set of the 1 and 2, the master out with no click, is going over there to that interface. So that's that left and right you see plugged into that little Alesis IO2 interface, which is plugged into that computer right there, which is sending out to the internet for you guys to see. So next, let's go over there and I'll show you how all that stuff worked. Okay, so now what you're looking at is the this Dell gaming laptop that I've had for quite a while, actually since like 2018, I think. But this computer is actually pretty good for streaming because it has a dedicated graphics card, which is helpful when you're doing streaming. So what you're looking at right here is actually OBS, which is what is sending the feed to YouTube and to Twitch. Now, like I said before, I'm running out from my audio interface, which you saw over there, which is coming over here to this audio interface going in. Now that's going into the mic input in OBS. Now if you look here, you'll notice we have the action cam video. Oh, I didn't even talk about the cameras yet, but I'll do that here in a second. But if we look over here on the left, I have a couple of different scenes. Now you'll just notice it just switched. I didn't do that, it just did it by itself. And if we go back over here and look, we see a different camera angle. And what you're seeing actually right there is this Kodak Pix Pro. This is actually a 360 camera, but it also works as a wide angle action camera. So I'm only using one of the lenses on it right now. And what's really cool about this camera is it also can work as a webcam, as can that one that is up there. That's just a cheap Chinese 4K action camera that also can work as a webcam. And both of these cameras are plugged in via USB. I have USB extension cables running from both of them that I got on Amazon. You'll notice that one's running all the way up there, coming down the wall here, down the padding, around my light, and into this USB 3.0 hub that I have double-sided taped to the wall. And the reason why I wanted this is because this is powered, so I don't have to worry about powering the cameras off of the laptop. So I have a powered USB hub there, and that is running from the USB 3 port on the computer to the hub. Okay, so back on OBS. So how I'm making the cameras switch on their own is by using something called Advanced Scene Switcher. Now this is a plugin you can download for OBS that allows you to set up basically a timer and switch between scenes that you have pre-configured in OBS. So I can either turn this on or off. If I turn it off, OBS will stay on whatever scene that I have selected manually. But if I turn it on, it'll just start switching between them at the time intervals that I selected. So that is how I was able to switch the cameras without touching anything. I wasn't using like a controller or anything like that. They were just doing it automatically. And if I turn that off, like I said, I could just click over here on starting soon, and then there's the starting soon screen, and that'll switch automatically off of there since I never turned off the automatic scene switcher already. But one of the things that was a bit challenging in doing this is the two different cameras. When you're using different cameras into OBS, especially if you're using, you know, kind of third-party non-webcams as webcams, they tend to have, cameras have latency. Just like audio interfaces have latency, cameras also have latency. So they each basically have a delay in the time that you do something to where you see it on the screen. And one of them was actually longer than the other one. Like, for example, that one up there, the latency actually isn't that bad on that one, but this one's a little bit worse. So what I had to do was a little bit tricky to get everything to sync up correctly. Now if we go over here on the action cam and we click on filters, you'll notice I have something up here, hopefully you can see that, called video delay async. Let's see if that's focusing. Yeah, there it is. Video delay async. Now, if we go down here even further, you'll notice that that is 265 milliseconds. Now, what that is doing is actually adding more delay to that camera. Now, why would I want to add more delay to it? That's because this other camera, if we go over to the Pix Pro, we go to filters here, you'll notice this one doesn't have any async filter on it. That's because this one already had that much delay on it. So I basically had to add that delay to the other camera to make it in sync with this camera. However, once I did that, neither camera is in time with the audio. So the way to fix that is to go here to your audio. And if we go into our audio advanced properties down here, now you'll notice, oh, and I forgot to mention that the delay, I figured out the delay on the other camera was actually about 10 milliseconds. So I added 10 milliseconds, or sorry, 100 milliseconds. I added 100 milliseconds to that 265 that you saw there, and then I offset my audio device by 365 milliseconds. So basically, you're delaying the audio device to basically be in sync with the video devices. If that makes sense. So hopefully you understood that. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is my one camera has a big delay. This one has less of a delay. So I had to make this delay catch up with this delay down here, and then I had to offset my audio input to be in sync with both cameras and their delays. Got it? Anyway, that's how I had to do that, and it took that was probably the hardest thing to get figured out, to get syncing up correctly, which is basically just trial and error. It was really the only way I could do it. Okay, now as far as lighting, this is probably, you know, the weakest part of the show, but it is what it is, and it's what I have. First, I have just a simple LED strip light over here, and that actually can be sound activated, but I didn't have it set to sound activation. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. And then I also have this little light right here taped to the wall, which is basically just a cheap Amazon like disco light. Let me turn that on real quick so you guys can see it. Plug it in. And this is the light that I had going during the show. And it has a little remote, which is right here, that can basically turn on different types of sound activated lighting. There's music 1, music 2. I think I had it on music 1, which makes it go off when it's silent. And then when there's sound, it comes back on. So you can see when I'm talking, it keeps lighting up. Hello? Hello? So yeah, actually a pretty cool light. It was really cheap. I think it was like $25 or something. But it does some pretty cool looking effects up on the wall there, you can see. And that's pretty much it, I think. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. Also, you know, I should mention that I had to get the audio level coming from Ableton over to this audio interface and my drums. You know, they're both being mixed through those master 1 and 2 outputs from the audio interface over there coming into this one. And I just had to make sure I had a good level here, but it wasn't too hard to do that. And then I also have a master output level over there. So it was easy to adjust. If it was too high, I could just turn it down using the knob on the Behringer interface. And my headphone mix is totally independent because I have a separate mixer just for that. So I could basically control the click and the level of the music all in my headphones without messing with the volume going to the stream, which was right there. All right, so hopefully this was educational and helpful in some way. It was a pretty big learning experience for me to hook all this stuff up and just to get everything to work. A lot of trial and error, you know, watching other YouTube videos and seeing how other people were doing it. I couldn't really find anybody that was doing something like exactly like how I wanted to do it. So basically I took little bits and pieces of knowledge that I found in other videos, then kind of used that information to put together my own system right here. But one thing I do know for sure, that if you plan on streaming music and your laptop is going to be playing an instrument role in the music that you're playing, you're going to need a separate computer for the stream. If you're trying to stream from the, like if I were trying to stream from that Mac at the same time as running Ableton and EZDrummer and all that other stuff that I was running out of there, it would have been way too much for the computer to handle, and the latency would have been really bad, and it probably would have crashed and just been really, really terrible. So best bet is to get some kind of computer. Gaming computers tend to work the best for streaming because, like I said before, they have dedicated graphics cards that you can use. Not to get too into the technical details of it, but for example, this has an AMD card, so it can use the AMD graphics processing basically to process the video that gets pushed out to the stream, so it doesn't have to use the built-in processor in the computer to power the video of the stream. It uses the encoder that is part of the graphics card in the system, which makes the fans rev up pretty high, but it doesn't stall out at all when it's doing that, and it works pretty good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I'm going to be doing more shows like this in the future. And if you haven't subscribed to me on Twitch yet, or followed me rather, well, you can subscribe to, but you don't have to. You can just follow me over there. Go to twitch.tv/demonicsweaters, and I'm going to be doing more live streams on YouTube as well as on Twitch here in the near future, so definitely check that out. And once again, thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully you guys like this video. Comment, like, subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new content, and I'll try to learn how to talk by the time I make my next video. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Later.